What's going on, guys? My name is Jesse and I've been traveling Australia for 8 to 9 months now with my dog Freya, and on our way around we've pretty much only been staying at free camps. I think I've paid for maybe 2 or 3 camps in those 8 to 9 months. So this video is going to be what I class as my top 10 free camps so far traveling Australia. Now, in no particular order, let's just start at a couple of spots in Tasmania. First up, Lake Rosebery. This place is absolutely stunning. There is only a very small amount of spots there, but there is one spot that is miles above the rest. You come off the main road and you head down this very short little dirt track, only a few hundred meters long. And when you get to the end of it, there's kind of a bit of a car park that you could camp in. It is just a very small kind of gravel area, but there is one offshoot that if you follow that down, you end up right on the water with this stunning mountain landscape in the background and the lake right in front of you. Now, sadly, to get that picturesque view, there is only one spot. You could definitely fit a couple cars there, but with random people, you'd kind of be camping on top of each other and it'd be a bit weird. But like, you could get a decent sized group in there, but if you get that all to yourself, man, it is stunning. Number 2, Marion Bay Lookout. Now this is a bit of an odd one because there's obviously hundreds of great free camps in Tasmania, and some of them might be better than this, yeah, but I just feel like this one, again, offered such an amazing view. All it is a little pullover on the side of a road. You're able to camp there. The road is quiet, so that's not really much of a worry. When I camped there, I think there was 2 other vehicles staying with me, and sadly I didn't get the top spot. But if you got there early enough, or you were the only one there, you can park up and you're on top of this big hill and you overlook a bay and some mountains in the back. Beautiful sunsets. Tasmania had a lot of really good campsites, in my opinion. I'm a big fan of lakes and mountains, stuff like that. So a lot of the campsites that I stayed at in Tasmania are really good, but I can't exactly fill up this list with just Tasmania campsites. Let's move into Victoria now. One of my favorite campsites in Victoria is the King's Spur Track. Now, a lot of people would hate me for saying this because they want to think it's some big secret and that it doesn't get busy, but it's not that much of a secret. A lot of people still know about it. It's pretty easy to get to. It just comes off the Dargo High Plains Road. It's not that rough of a track to get in. Where you're camped is up on top of one of Victoria High Country's beautiful mountains, and you overlook this massive valley called Devil's Hollow. In the background, you can see Mount Hotham. Pretty sure you can even see Blue Rag Trig. Stunning sunsets. If you're lucky on a sunrise, there might even be clouds below you, which is just awesome to wake up to. I wasn't so lucky when I was there to get that, but still, definitely one of my favourite campsites, probably in all of Australia that I've ever been to. That is probably like a top 3, I reckon. Number 4, a high country hut. Now, there is plenty of huts that you're allowed to camp in the high country. I was lucky enough to score one. And I think even though you can camp out on top of a mountain or in a field somewhere, which is all really nice, camping in a hut is a great experience that I think you should also do if you're in the high country. There's some pretty small ones, but there's also some really big ones that can cater to quite big groups. Like the one I stayed in had a whole mezzanine floor that you could sleep on. It had a couple benches underneath, and then just the whole living area was massive as well. They have fireplaces in them that you can use. And the one I stayed in, as cool as it was, I don't even think it was the best one that you can get to. Lovik's Hut is another one that I drove past, and that one was really cool. That one had a massive big grassed area out the front that you could have a big bonfire in. If I remember correctly, there was like a table and stuff inside that you could all sit around. I definitely think a high country hut is something that you should experience, especially with a good group of people, and maybe even in the winter, so that way you got a reason for the hut to keep you warm. Number 5 would be the Murray River. Now, the Murray River is a very broad thing to say. There is hundreds of spots along the Murray River, so obviously I haven't camped in all of them, but I don't think you can really go wrong wherever you pick. I know some spots kind of change. If you go further southeast, it kind of gets a bit greener and more grassy as you get towards the mountains. Whereas if you go more north, you get a bit more bush and you'll find beaches. Nice sandy beaches, just like what I'm on now. Like, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between this beach and the beaches on the Murray River. You can take jet skis, boats, go fishing, go swimming. As long as you're not going on like a long weekend or something, it could be pretty quiet too. But in saying that, the couple times I have camped on the Murray River were on long weekends, and we still managed to find pretty quiet spots. Number 6. We're in New South Wales now. Now, I didn't have the greatest time with my travels in New South Wales. It was raining quite often, it was cold, and it just wasn't the greatest overall experience. But I still camped at some great places and seen some great things. Now, one of my favourite camps in New South Wales would have to be Wallaby Rocks near Safala. Now, when you pull into Wallaby Rocks, you come down off the road and you got this nice freshwater river, this big rock face right in front of you, and it seems like most people would camp right there. But if you actually turn left, cross the river and follow it, there's many, many more camp spots, and it probably gets quieter and quieter the further down you go. But you can find yourself your own little quiet spot on this river. It's a great spot if you just want some peace and quiet in nature. You can do fishing. There was millions of goats hanging around, so if you're into hunting, you can go hunt goats. For me, I tried to do a bit of fishing, caught nothing. Went on some bushwalks. Had a bit of rain there, so just sat under the awning with a fire, just listening to the rain. It was a stunning spot. I loved that one. Nearby, you got quite a few things to do. You got the old bridle track, which is only just up the road. That takes you between Safala and Bathurst. That's also a fantastic place to camp and just a good four-wheel drive track. You got Lithgow, which I think was about an hour and a half away, something like that. And then there's lots of bushwalks and stuff like that to do around Lithgow. Next up, Delmorton. Now, when I went to Delmorton, it was a hell of a mission. There could be some better spots around there, but a lot of the forestry was closed off due to like culling of wild horses and stuff. They were doing heli shooting or something, and they closed a lot of the place off. So I didn't get to see a lot of around there. But what I did see was, on your way in, you got a road called Waterfall Way, which allows you to see a few different waterfalls and cool scenery on your way up, albeit that is still a couple hours from the campsite. But where I camped was right down along the Boyd River, just a few k's up the road from the Delmorton Tunnel. Now, as I said, there was a lot of stuff going on around there, so this is about the only spot that I could camp. A lot of the forest was closed. There was roadworks on both sides of my campsite, so I couldn't actually head down either end of my campsite, and there was only one way in and out. So it was a bit of a mission for me to get to there, but I won't hold that against it. It was nice and peaceful. I didn't see anyone else around for the few days I stayed there. I just had this beautiful freshwater river, nice big grass area for Freya to run around on, and because of the roadworks, there was the odd truck going past, but that's whatever. It was just a stunning, quiet place to relax. Number 8. Now, this is a bit of a tough one because I wanted to say Canal Creek on the old Telegraph track, but I honestly think I'm going to go with Nolan's going into this top 10. And the reason why I say Nolan's, a bit nicer of a place to swim, but you also get the added bonus of other cars coming through Nolan's Creek, and maybe you get to see some drama. When I was there, we had a few different groups of motorbikes come through. One of them drowned their bike, another one fell off. Sadly, didn't see anyone do the old jump on the motorbike. Seen a couple cars get filled with water, had to do a recovery. So you get a bit of action at Nolan's, which always excites things a little bit. But I also think Canal Creek is very close because, in my experience, people didn't really camp at Canal Creek. It was pretty quiet. They would go that extra little bit of distance to Sam's Creek. And I'm not sure why, because once I got to Sam's Creek, if you think of how many people are there, it would be very crowded in the little waterhole. But to be honest, even though my favourite would be Canal Creek or Nolan's. Pretty much anywhere along the Telegraph track is a great camp. You have beautiful fresh water, a great atmosphere. All the people are there doing the same thing, so everyone's just there for a good time, you know. If you haven't done the old Telegraph track up to Cape York, you need to get out there and do it. It is definitely the most fun I've had in this entire trip so far. Even if you have a stock four-wheel drive, you don't need a big done up four-wheel drive like this. I was traveling with people in their stock four-wheel drives and they were doing perfectly fine. If they got a bit stuck in some mud or something, someone else is there to help pull them out. Even if you're by yourself, you wait a bit, someone will come along. There are ways around all the hard stuff, and you only need to do the really hard stuff if you really want to. Alright, these last two are actually pretty recent. So, Mary Kathleen Mine, just outside of Mount Isa, about an hour out of Mount Isa. There's a few really good camps around Mount Isa, so let's just give them an honourable mention. You got Fountain Springs, which is just a nice little freshwater swimming hole, and if you just come a couple hundred metres out of there, you can camp on the side of the road there and have this wicked cliff backdrop for your camp as the sun goes down. Absolutely stunning. Or you could go out to Clenwalton Park or Corella Dam. Now I spent most of my 2 weeks there at Corella Dam, pretty much just because there is water and it's 40 degrees, you can just go swim, cool off. Freya can cool off. She spends hours every day swimming down in that water. You do got to worry about the freshwater crocodiles, but they're not really a problem. So those are the honourable mentions. But the campsite that I think would top that, apart from the water being a thing, is out near Mary Kathleen Mine. Now there is a very popular spot, which is the Mary Kathleen Township, but we're not talking about there. We're going to go towards the mine, and you're going to have a little bit of an explore around there, and you'll be able to find this nice hill that is just completely flat on the top that you can park on. And it just overlooks the flats, the mountains, just all the landscape. You get the nice green from the trees, and then on the sunrise or sunset, all the orange dirt just lights up, and it is absolutely stunning. I only spent one night there, and I pulled in while it was dark and then left pretty early in the morning, so I only got to see a sunrise, but I do reckon a sunset there would be really awesome. Last but not least is Gregory. Now I spent a whole week at Gregory River. Gregory is a tiny town, if you want to call it that, about 400 kilometres north of Mount Isa. I don't know if there's really anything else around there. You got Burketown, which is about an hour and a half away, something like that. You go up there, do a lot of fishing. But I stayed in Gregory because there's this beautiful freshwater river, the Gregory River, that runs right through the middle of town. They actually have a designated camp area there. When I first pulled in, it was the end of a long weekend, so it was pretty busy. But as the week progressed, it got quieter and quieter, so the spot I had actually ended up being pretty quiet. There was another area upstream which was much busier. That's where all the caravans pulled in. I found a little dirt track that the caravans don't go down, and I managed to have a spot that was pretty quiet. I only had a couple other people show up throughout the week. Gregory River was absolutely stunning because it's this beautiful fresh water that's about 25 to 28 degrees, so it's warm, but it's still cold enough to be refreshing on a nice hot day. Probably even a pretty cool day as well, to be honest. Lots of people would go upstream. You could float down in tubes or without tubes if you wanted to, but you got to watch out for all the trees that are in the water. You'll be able to float down river. There's lots of road swings and stuff. There's some very shallow spots where you could just sit on the bottom and relax in the water. There's some deep spots where you can be over your head under the water if you wanted to. Kind of just hang around in those deeper pools. You could also walk upstream or downstream and go fishing. I went downstream a bit, managed to catch a barra. I caught an archerfish. I've never eaten an archerfish, but I've been told that if you catch enough of them, they could make a pretty good meal. Saw a few turtles. Again, as long as it's not busy, it is just another beautiful place to relax. But that's going to conclude my top 10 list. I have been on the road for 9 months now, and I've only paid for 3 campsites in that 9 months. When I think about it that way, I have definitely been at over 100 free camps in the last 9 months, which is crazy to think about. Easily over 100 different free camps. So it is extremely hard for me to try and compact it down into these 10 that I've given you. There are many, many other beautiful camps And some of them might have made it on this list if I had other means to make those camps better for me, i.e. a boat or better fishing to give me something to do, stuff like that. But these camps on my list are pretty much just what first comes to mind of pretty much what I just had the best view of. Since I kind of just relax at camp with Freya and I'm not able to go fishing or anything like that, I kind of just base it on how good the camp is that I can see directly in front of me. So a lot of these just have really good views or are nice and peaceful, stuff like that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope with this top 10 list I was at least able to give you one camp that you didn't know about that you can add to your list. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.